So I've got what I need at least for what I'm going to do for my colors down here. So as you can see, this is nice and firmed up. It's unfortunate though, this isn't going to be firm enough for me to kind of run a dry brush on it. It's way too spongy. I'm worried about actually cracking it. If you can tell, if you notice from the last video, this was actually intact. Unfortunately, this is peeled. So I had to kind of fix it up a little bit. So I may not be able to dry brush it. So I'm going to have to do everything I possibly can with basically the airbrush work and maybe try to solve the dry brush problem. We'll have to see what comes out of it. But I did do a test right here. So I started at the top with a black to see how it would go. I rolled it to a similar layer of purple, and then I rolled all of it with the blue. And basically the blue, I don't know how well you'll be able to tell. I mean, you can see the blue quite plainly here, but it is still kind of darkened in here. So it's probably going to be a mixture of those colors along the way. So, but I am thinking I'm going to keep it to a purple and a blue shading. So I'm going to set that up at least with the purple first. I did also set up my backdrop, just a rough etching of what it will potentially look like. So, but I'm waiting on basically paint to dry for it to, so I can see how that's going to look for how I'm going to pull it off. But for now, I'm at least going to lay down the base color down here and get that going. And hopefully by the time this video ends, I will not only have the color on this, the actual greenery here, I could potentially have the backdrop done as well. But we'll see. Let's get moving. But, oh, I did find a nice way to try to mix this. I was always mixing it in the airbrush and it never ends up coming out nice. I remembered I had some of these nice little plastic cups. So that's what I'm doing with mixing my paints. And it seems to be working really, really well. So keep that in mind if anyone decides to get an airbrush that is low pressure. Keep that in mind. This is low pressure. High pressure you could probably get away with and not having as much needed. Not as much thinning and all that. But you may still do this method as well. Just enough. Just enough. All right. Now, we're going to move into the blue, which will be, it's a pale blue, but with the dark purple, it should work pretty well. And I might just try, I might try. I mean, why not? Let's do it. I'm going to take that blue, because the blue worked pretty good in the darker, but I want this to kind of be illuminated in the right way. So I'm going to add a little pearlized white to my blue that I'm using here. And let's see how that goes. And I'm going to try to keep away at least and make sure that the shadows, the harder shadows, are going to be highlighted with the solid black in front. I mean, these may be spectral, but they still can throw at least some type of shadow. And I want the darkness a little bit because I'm going to add, like I did the green glow, like adding the glow effect for the object source lighting around here. I'm going to do that with the horses. And since I have the green glow going on some of the terrain features as well, to emphasize the riders as well. So that hopefully brings it out a little bit more. So pressing into the blue. I do have a darker pearlized blue, but I don't want that. I want the lighter color I want to use the lighter color because this is where a lot of this grass is going to be exposed to the direct moonlight. So just a little bit more. Now, I did look up a little bit of information on how to do this best, and it suggested a milk consistency, like a 2% milk. So it's got to be something you got to pay attention to. And if anyone out there who watches drinks 2% milk on a daily basis, that should be about the consistency you're looking for. It might be hard to tell. Well, let's see if we can see it when I pour. Should be about that consistency. And I think I got plenty to do what I want to do. All right, now the test. How well will this come out? Oh, wow. I don't know how well you can see, but it's got that flake in there. That's exactly what we want. So, all right, here we go. too light. So I think what I'm gonna do is pour that in there. I'm gonna clean this out. And then I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the solid black. Yep, go in with solid black. And go in with solid black to really highlight the shadows. So bear with me a few minutes. There we go. Okay. There's that. There we go. All right. Beautiful. Oh, I am so happy that this method is working, at least with mixing and everything else. But, you know, practice, trial and error. But I'm liking how this is looking right now. I love how it's breaking up. Like having the dark shadows being direct here, just in front of where the horses lie. And mostly because the horses may be spectral, but the knight armor is still pretty solid. It's just inhabited by the spectral spirits. So the riders themselves would technically still cast a shadow. So that makes me pretty happy. All right, now, let's see here. Okay. Now I've gotten pretty far in here. So I've been at this right now for a grand total of 22 minutes, almost 23 via the live recording of this. However, all the speeding up and everything else, you guys had seen it in a little bit shorter of time. So, but to show you what I mean when I'm talking about at least my canvas, I don't know, I can see it differences myself. However, I don't know how well you can see. So basically I layered the black, purple, and blues. And I have a dark primer on this side, dark color this side primer, and a whiter one here. I'm leaning towards the dark because at least, you know, night scene, it makes perfect sense. But it doesn't always work out the way you think it does. So it's always best to try and test stuff. Just like I did with just like I did with this, I wanted to test out how the airbrush paint would interact with the green. And essentially, this is the end result of what I ended up with. So let me, I mean, from up top, I literally have, like, I can see the shadows here. I can see the shadows here and how it's shaping into there. Yep, it's literally highlighting those shadows along there as if it's direct light from behind, which is exactly what I wanted. And I'm really, really happy with that. So I'll bring you guys down here just to have a better look at it from directly in my point of view. So give me just a moment and you guys will go on a little short ride once again. Whoa. So this is my perspective. So I'm really happy with how this looks. Yeah, I mean, I see it even from here that I have the darkening shades, whatnot, but the camera lighting, the camera adjusting shows the lighter shadow here, here, light shadow there, light shadow here where the rock is and all that. I love how that turned out. Same thing here. This is turned up nice and bright. So I'm okay with it being a little bit brighter because the lighter stuff should glow a little bit more. Now, when I get done, well, I'm going to let this set overnight. And I'll be able to continue at least with more of the airbrush work, to adding the blue and green mixed glows here, not only to where the circular patterns of where the riders are and the horses, but also add another layer here on these, potentially on around here, as well as like the light, the brighter sections on the outside. We'll see how that goes overall, but I'm really happy with how this is turning out. So anyhow, we'll catch you guys on the next clip. Okay. Hey guys. Now you might notice that the diorama has been moved aside, but that's because, as you can see, I'm getting ready to lay down my colors and start defining the shapes of my backdrop. Now, I made this here with a basically literally no different than a cap, similar to about that size on here. So that way I was able to mark out at least where my moon would going to be. And I'm going to use a combination of colors here. I'm just going to start with a black. Yeah, I'm going to start with a black on most of the areas, and then I'm going to go over top with some blue, some blues and a dark purple, and most likely it'll be purple to the blue in that order. But so I'm not going to do everything straight black because I'm going to define at least where my the tree outlines will be, which is probably what I'm going to start with, and then I will slowly work my way into getting everything darkened the way I need to. Now, if you guys remember from how this looked before I primed it, it's going to be a tree line over here to represent the area of the one piece of terrain that's on the left-hand side. Over here, where the right piece of terrain is, where the gate is, or the old stone arch gate is, I had a thunderstorm in the back of this side. So that's what I'm going to start with, at least on the upper sections. So anyway, it's going to be pretty straightforward with this, guys. Hopefully, I don't know how well it'll come out on camera, but hopefully you guys will get the idea of how this is going to look when I get there. So here we go. The black that I'm using is just simple dollar store acrylic paint. Nothing spectacular or special. So as you can see, a lot of this is going to be, you might think that I'm going to be hiding a lot of the detail, or I left some spots open, but I did that kind of on purpose because I wanted to have this in such a way that it would actually, the black would be kind of like the background color into what I'm going to develop. So, where I've lined, it might be difficult to see now given the circumstance. However, if you guys had kept in mind, keep it in your mind's eye of where I had the couple of little bit of trees, where the tree line ends to where the cliff is. I'm going to be highlighting that with some colors to at least be able to bring out the shapes of these. And I wanted to leave, and the highlighted areas where I left it is going to be, because this is going to be a thunderstorm, like I said, on this side. So it's going to be kind of, there's going to be some signs of like a lightning strike, of lightning coming through, and also being highlighted of the lightning. I'm thinking of similar to a lightning storm that's contained within a thundercloud that you would see at a distance. So that's kind of the thought and plan here right now. So, while I'm going to go ahead and set up my next step, which will be, I was thinking I was going to dry brush, or at least use the sponge painting for a lot of this. I'm doing, yeah, because I think, yeah, I got to, because this is the test sample I did here. Now, you might be able to tell a little bit better. You can see, so this was the white primer, and then this was the dark. So that's going to be, it's going to, and basically I tried an airbrush first. It didn't really work out too well because unfortunately, the pressures that I work with on my airbrush really facilitated being broken thin down too much. But the second time I went back at this, I used just the sponge and then basically worked the colors in together. It came out a lot nicer. So I think for the part that I'm going to do, it will be just standard brushwork for at least the trees on this side. But for the thunderstorm, it will be an airbrush work. And that's what I will be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and start get the sponging ready for my, for sponging my dark purple. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, like I said, I'm going to be layering this. Now, I'm going to have probably the heavier blues on, I'm going to have a heavier blue setting on this side here and fade it into the purple. Now there's, like I said, as I was explaining, the reason for that is because I want to have the, this is a thunderstorm. So essentially, in a sense, because of how lightning strikes and how it goes off, it does light up the night, it would light up a night sky into like purples and bluish hues from the actual discharge. So that's the idea there. So, okay. Now, these darker, the reason why I'm leaving these more of a black state is to basically, this is where pretty much this is going to attach to the back of the diorama. So it's sort of going to be a hidden piece, really. So, well, the bottom piece is where they attach. They're going to be a hidden segment. So that's the idea there. So that'll be the next step here. Okay, so that's the beginning of that. Now, I'm kind of basing this on my own observations that I have made on moonlit nights. So it's kind of, there's not a lot of photo references I can look at. I mean, I could, but unfortunately I record with my phone. So I can't really do that at the same time, unfortunate. But I look at them long enough and I kind of store the little bits and pieces to memory and commitment to memory as much as I can. And then basically it's attempted and I sit back and I'm looking and I just kind of figure out if it's what I'm looking for or not. So, I mean, the good thing is that with the extra, I'm hoping I can dabble that up. I can add a little bit of what I want for this to look. Also, at the same time, it gives me the opportunity to do this. Again, I can sit back, I can look at it, and I might just have to layer this accordingly. We'll have to see what comes of it in good time as after this stuff dries. So that's kind of where this is going right now. So there we go. So there's that. See if I can do this. Without taking too much away. So I'm just doing a little bit of black that I want to sponge back on accordingly. There we go. So just kind of okay. Now cool, let's see. Can I do this? If I can divide this enough. Can I divide this enough is the question. Strangely enough, I think so. Let's add a little bit more black and just break up the silhouette. This is what I like. There we go. Okay. There we go. There we go. Eliminate the idea of the line there as much as possible. Okay. I think maybe got something that looks pretty good to start with. It's a good base. It's a good base to build on. Now, mind you, doing this kind of work is calling on skills that I have not used in 20-ish years. A little over 20 years. So, but it's nice to be able to tap into that a little bit. And hopefully make something really worthwhile that people can enjoy, feel inspired to like, hey, you know what? I used to do that kind of stuff. Maybe I should do it again in my free time. It'll keep me sane, you know? So I'm going to try to stand this up, and then I'll probably bring you guys down so you guys can see at least the first layering of this. And maybe I could at least, if I get a chance to today, maybe I could actually put down an airbrush layer. There we go. Maybe I can put down an airbrush layer that can start filling up some of the areas and the highlights and things of that nature to show you guys what this thing will look like. So bear with me a moment. We're going to come down for a ride. Here we go. Let's have a look at it from my perspective. Yeah, it's a little rough. A little too much light behind it. Hang on. Let's try to bring it down. A little better. Little bit. So, trying not to add too much shadow to this thing. Let's see if I can angle it. Oh, gosh, it's going to be hard to pull this off without the light hiding too much detail. Yeah, so I mean, it's a good start with the trees on this would be on the left side. I like the blues and the purples kind of blending together, like the central part of the moonlight there. And then, see if I can do it from this side. There we go. Better. There it is. Much better. So yes, so basically, the moonlight and the thunderstorm on the right. Yep, so I guess got to work on getting the brightness up a little bit on the tree side. That's going to be interesting to try to accomplish. I think I have the right paints to pull it off with. We'll see if I can make it work. Hopefully I can. But again, this is calling on skills I haven't done in over 20 plus years. But we'll see how it goes. So anyhow, bear with me guys on this. Obviously, I have to let this dry before I begin working on it again, which shouldn't take terribly long. I mean, I think you can tell that basically even here, this is already dry. That's already dried out and not even paint's appearing. So anyway, bear with me, guys. We're just going to let this top layer here to dry a little bit more. And I should be able to start throwing in some airbrush work. at least on the sky, I'm hoping. Maybe I can also do potentially the work on the right side of the trees to really kind of highlight it more. So anyway, thanks guys, bear with me. All right, so I got my white mixed up, ready to rock and roll. So we're gonna go ahead and lay down some white over the areas that need to be done to kind of help bring out the pop of a little bit of this. So yeah, so it's gonna be around the moon, thunderstorm for sure in areas, and then probably try to spread it out a little bit in kind of like broken rings, I guess would be another way to put it, as if there's like light cloud cover from the thunderstorm kind of spreading out. So there we go, guys. Okay. Now here's where it's going to be fun. So now, some of you may be wondering right now, what are these little white bubbles for? It's going to be where I'm going to try to highlight the cloud with some of the blues and also with the purples here too, that the lightning is coming from within and spreads outward down. So that's kind of the thought there. That's what I'm aiming for. So that's the idea. There we go. There we go. Yes, so nice and quick, very simple. And actually, I like how in some places here where it kind of speckled nicely, I'm hoping to add that effect with an speckled very nicely. I'm hoping to do the airbrush, hoping to do with a brushwork and the airbrush to kind of flick into, or at least do my own flicking as well. So that's kind of the thought right now. But that's how we got that going. So I'm pretty happy with that for sure. We're going to go into the blue next as soon as I get this airbrush cleaned out, everybody. So stay tuned. Okay, so with the blue ready, here we go. Now here's where I gotta try to do this in the right way. This is gonna be really difficult to do with the size of this. So let's see how we do. Okay. Yeah, this is where it's going to be difficult. Actually, hold on. I think I can make it work the way I want. There we go. There we go. Now. Well. There we go. Oh, jeez, oh, Pete. I'm knocking everything over. Go figure. All right. Well, Call me klutz. Oh, where'd you go? Just call me klutz. Okay, so. Okay. There we go. All right. So I think that's pretty good starting point here. Now, I am going to have to come back over this with a white brush because this is the thing with the airbrush. Even at low pressure, you're still not going to get the kind of control you'd like. I'm going to add at least the lightning bolts that I want in these lower sections here, and then I can always come back over them with another light dusting of the blue. Excuse me. And of course, I'm going to do the same thing probably with potentially the white as well. So I can just layer that again along there, and that's probably what I'm going to do. So, but for now, I'm going to call it here for the diorama video right now for part 6. Part 7 will probably be me continuing this process and actually putting down, trying to brighten up these trees here. I did a method with the singles diorama that I really like and love how it turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that method on that side. So you'll see me kind of complete that as well. So thank you guys very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And keep an eye out for that next video. Thank you very much. Catch you on the next one. I'll bring you down here so you guys can have a quick look-see as to how this looks. So, once again, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you guys so much for watching, and keep an eye out for that next one. Catch you later.